Hey everyone, this is Lynn. Happy summer. I thought I'd share some quick tips getting started with Edublogs, as there are still a few weeks before in-service and many of you are getting started building your team blogs or customizing your individual blogs. If you are brand new to Edublogs, I want you to go ahead to the URL that I sent you in your email. For example, this is the grade 6 team blog at Blueball, and you can see here this is the URL where they're going to go. And whenever you access an Edublogs site, you'll be able to find the login button on the top left. And your username and password were sent to you via an email from Edublogs through Lotsie. So you got a generic password to start with that you can then change. I'll show you how to do that. Our usernames are first initial, last name for teachers. You know that you're logged in because on the top bar, the navigation bar, you can see a lot more options than just log in, log out. And here under the name of your blog, you'll be able to access your dashboard. So this is what your blog looks like live to anybody who's out there. And the way that you customize it is in the dashboard. So anything in the black bars, either on the top or when we enter the dashboard on the left-hand side, these are the menus that you can use to control what goes on your blog and how your blog looks. Now, it may appear overwhelming, I totally understand that, but there are actually a lot of these menus that you're not even going to touch, especially in the beginning when you're just setting up. So many of you who are running a team blog would be interested in having different pages, let me show you an example, for each teacher in the team. Here is the third grade blog at Blueball, and you can see that they have a teacher's name as the top page. That would be called the parent page. And then beneath it, they have specific pages for each subject area or topic that the teacher would want to address. So if I was a parent and my student had Mrs. Dissinger for language, I would then be able to go right here to find out her language information. If they were a student of Mrs. Welch, I'll be able to go here to get that information. This is the home page, the landing page for the blog, and this is where you can see posts are shared. The home page has running posts that are listed in chronological order, whereas a page, such as the important links page, is static. There are no posts being shared. There is information that you can add to. For example, if you want to update a page, you could add the most recent information to the top and date it. Or this might be something that you just don't change the whole year long because it's pertinent for the whole year. So those are differences between pages and posts. When I'm inside my dashboard, the first thing you probably want to do is set up a page for all the users of the blog. You can do that a couple ways. On the left-hand side, there's pages. And if you click on all pages, you can see all of the ones that exist so far. And there's usually a sample page built there by default. Or you can go to the top and click New and scroll down to Page, and then you'll see. Also here you have Add New for pages. You just want to be careful that you're adding a page instead of a post when you're starting to set up your space. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually I'm going to leave that sample page as is, and I'm going to add a new page for one of the teachers in grade 6 at Blueball. So I'm going to make Mrs. Whitmer a page. And this might be a space where she adds her homeroom information. And I'm going to click Publish. And it's going to keep you in the dashboard. It's going to keep you in editing mode. And if you ever want to view the page, you can click here. My advice to you is to hold down the Command key or the Control key on a PC so that you can bump it out in a separate tab. And now you can see Mrs. Whitmer has a page. But I'd like to add a Mrs. Whitmer math page beneath her page. So what I'm going to need to do is click Add New Page, either here or up here or over here. There's a couple different ways, Add New Page. And I'm going to call this page Whitmer Math. And now the important part here is I need to tell the blog that I want this math page to appear beneath her starter page. So I'm going to call Mrs. Whitmer the parent of the Whitmer math page and click Publish. When I go out to my live site and I refresh, I now see that Mrs. Whitmer has a drop-down page for math. So when I go back to my dashboard and I look at my all pages I can now see that that sample page is still there. And then I have Mrs. Whitmer, and the little dash indicates that her math page is a sub-page of that, and that's the parent page. If I want to get rid of the sample page or any page, it's very easy to do. I can just click trash. If you ever want to go back and change any of your pages, you just go in and you can do a quick edit from here. Or what you can do is click on edit, and it will bring out the full feature where you can edit everything. So I'm going to go ahead to all pages, and I'm going to delete the sample page. So that's how you add a page. Posts are going to look very similar. So I'm going to show you all the posts. And again, on your home page are where your posts are listed chronologically. The one that's there by default is the Hello World post. And that is listed here in my dashboard list. So if I want to edit that one, I might call it something different, like welcome. And now you also want to change right here the slug of the URL so that parents don't get sent to a different place. And you can just delete everything that's in the default and customize it the way you choose. In this editor feature, you can add media such as documents, PDFs, Word documents. PDFs will load right in the browser. Word documents will download to the user's computer who is ever viewing it. I always recommend uploading PDF. When you are in the Insert Media space, you can click Select Your Files or drag and drop any files that you want to bring in. Of course, you will only use images that are copyright friendly and have a license that allow you to reshare them in your space. I received this one from Flickr, the Creative Commons group. And insert into post. And I would, of course, add a citation if I was actually using that. And your image will be inserted wherever your cursor is. Some other features of the, what we call the kitchen sink right here, to change to the toolbar toggle. If you don't see these lower features right here, it's because the toolbar at the bottom isn't toggled, so you just press that. You can change your text color, add formatting like bold and underline. This is the style of your text, if it's a heading, if it's paragraph text, which is the default. This is the visual text editor. So you can see that everything that I type shows up as is. If I type bold and highlight it to be bold, I will see bold. On the tab switch here on the right, if I click text mode, this is now an HTML mode. So if you are going to embed any HTML code from a slideshow or from any other widget that you find out online that you want to include in your blog, you must do it in text HTML mode, not in visual mode. So any kind of code you need to paste into your space needs to be done in text mode. So back to visual mode, if you want to add a link, if I wanted to link this out somewhere, you highlight what you want to link and click link there and enter the URL, and that will add a hyperlink into your text. There you can add a horizontal line here, your alignment feature, so it's the basic text editing. We're not going to get into categories and tags at this point, but those are ways to become more sophisticated with your posting that we'll get into as you get more comfortable with the space. But that's how easy it is to create a new post, which appears on your home page. Those get listed chronologically. You click update if you'd like to save your changes, which I'm not going to do at this point. Another thing that people are going to want to, and we'll leave that page, going to want to consider is the appearance of their blog. So by default, new blogs are created with this standard template. Looks the same. So a lot of the new blogs I've made in the past few weeks have this template. You can feel free to customize that to anything that you think is going to be user-friendly for your parents to be reading and your students to be reading. So under Appearance, you can click on Themes, and you'll be shown many of the more popular themes that are out there. You can categorize what you see by clicking here. These are popular. I like the class feature. Some of those are pretty cool. And for me, the simpler the better. Make sure that it's easy to read for your parents. Make sure it's easy to navigate for your parents and students as well. If you're interested in changing the theme of your blog, you can see what it would look like in a live preview by hovering over the theme and clicking Live Preview. And it will pop you out and it will show you what your blog might look like in that theme. And you can see nothing gets erased, everything stays the same. At times there are things rearranged, such as the sidebar with the widgets here, and we'll talk about widgets in a second. You can change the logo of some themes, and just know that every theme is different. On this left-hand side, these are the theme-specific options. You might not be able to do certain things in this theme that you could do in other themes. So it's just a matter of trying on things and seeing what you like best. If you like it, you click Save and Activate. And if you don't, you can just X out and then you can try on something else. If you don't like the tagline that comes along with your standard theme, you can change that here. Something like that. And all of that can be done here. I'm going to leave that. All right, so that's themes. Widgets are another important part that you'll want to set up from the beginning. By default, here are the widgets that are shown in your sidebar. You see recent posts, recent comments, categories, and archives. Those are the default ones. Widgets, when you're under Appearance, the Widgets menu, these are all of the available widgets that are here, okay? A word about Calendar. Calendar does not allow you to post events that you are hosting or things that are going on in your classroom. A calendar is simply a calendar of your site's posts in this widget. So what I recommend for you is using a Google Calendar and putting your details on there and then sharing that on your website. And I'll go over that in another screencast. But here you can see the sidebar items that are currently there. And if you don't want any of them, like let's say I don't want recent comments, I'm just going to click it and I'm going to drag it away and it disappears. One that I think you're going to want on there is the links menu. If you don't have the links widget on your sidebar, anything you add to links is not going to appear on the side. So I'm going to click links. You can either click and drag it up, but if it's toward the bottom, it's easier just to click and then click Add Widget, and now it appears. And each widget has its own settings that you'll have to decide what types of links you want to show in this space. Do you want all your links? Do you only want certain categories of links? And most of you will just choose all links. Do you want to show the description, the rating? You can choose exactly what to show, and you can choose how many links to show if you only want 10 to show or 5 to show. And then click Save. And this little widget box will stay open until you close it. And if you want the links near the top, you can just drag these in any order that you choose. So now when I refresh my blog, I'll see that the links, and in this theme, they're called bookmarks. That's just the way it is and it can't be changed. Certain themes have certain things that cannot be changed or customized. So here are the bookmarks that are used by default, and we'll see where these links come from. When I go to my links menu, I'm going to click on all links. These are the links that are there by default. I don't think you need to include any of them in your master list. So you could check all and then you could delete and they'll go away. But let's say I'd like to add a new link and I would like to add the Symbaloo grades 3 to 6 link. I'm going to type in the title of the site. I'm going to go to Symbaloo so I can copy the URL. Here's our mix. I'm going to go back to add new link. I'm going to paste the URL right there. You can have a description if you want to, but you don't need to at all. If you're going to get sophisticated with link categories, you can, but I'm not going to at this point. And really, you don't need to worry about any of this stuff down here. And then don't keep it private or nobody will be able to see it. And then click Add Link. So now the link has been added. And when I go back to my blog, if I refresh, I can see, ta-da! Now my parents and students can easily get to Symbaloo grades 3 to 6. But that will not show up unless you add the links widget to the sidebar. All right. Let me see something here. Okay. We covered posts. We covered adding new pages. We are not going to get into comments at this point. We've covered appearance, the themes, users. If you go to all users, you're going to see the teachers in your team who have been added as editors, actually as administrators of your site. So any of those teachers can make any changes to the site. If you want to change your information, your profile, you can see here where you list your first and last name, your nickname, and then you can choose how you want your name to be publicly displayed. Whenever you leave a comment or write a post, it will list a name with that. So you can choose how you want that to be displayed. So you have a couple of different combinations that show up. If you'd prefer it to say Mrs. Hensler or Mrs. Martin, then you should incorporate the Mrs. somewhere in first or last name so that it shows up as a combination if you'd rather have that. Your email, keep your ELANCO email. You can have a little description of your position and your district here. And this is where you can change your password. I highly recommend that you keep it something that you know and use all the time, like your regular district email password. And then you can update your profile down here. You can add an avatar if you wish. Again, an avatar will show up next to your comments if you are engaged in commenting. Under settings, we have a couple things on the left-hand side here that you want to look at. Your general settings are here. General settings include the title of your blog, the tagline of your blog. This is just the first teacher that I added, so that's why it will show there. Time zone, the date that you prefer to look at. Don't change any of this stuff. And then the writing settings. Do you want emoticons to turn into graphics? That's pretty much the only thing that you really need to mess with here, unless you have link categories that you want to set to default. For reading settings, what do you want to show on your front page? If you're a team and you're not going to show posts regularly, you could actually change it to being a static page, and you could just have a welcome page there all of the time. Let me show you an example of that. On the main blogging network page, we have a home page that's static. We welcome everyone and we have commenting information, but we don't post anything here. So if you're a team that's never going to change what's on the home page, you could consider doing that under reading settings. You can decide how many pages to show at most. If you are showing articles in a feed, do you want to show the full text or summary? And site visibility. Do you want to allow search engines such as Google to index the site? I say yes, because if a parent's searching for your site and they're not really sure what the address is, if they search something along the lines of grade 6 Blue Ball blog, it will come up. I would not make people have to log in to see it. And I definitely wouldn't allow only registered users to access, because then nobody outside of ELANCO is going to be able to see it, which does not help parents at all. The other option you have is to password protect it. If you feel like the information you're sharing is so confidential that you need a password, maybe you shouldn't be posting that information. I feel like it's most beneficial if this is an open site for parents. And then in discussion, you can determine if you want people to link to your blog, if you want to allow people to comment on blog posts. Maybe you don't want to allow this, and that's fine. You can uncheck this box. If you do allow comments, these are the settings that the comment author must fill out: their name and email address. Nobody can post anonymously with that setting. You can allow threaded comments. You can opt to get emails whenever anyone comments, and you can also check this box. Whenever anyone comments, it will be held for moderation, meaning it will not go live until one of the administrators manually approves it. So that's something else that you can do to safeguard if you're concerned about the comments that you're getting. I will say, in the year that we've been blogging, we've never gotten negative comments from anyone in the public because we have a very supportive community. And so those are the big settings that you're going to need to go through at the start. The other stuff for now, plugins, don't worry about it. Tools, don't worry about it. Wikis, don't worry about it. These types of things we can get into if you get more sophisticated needs for your blog. But in the meantime, that's how easy it is to get started. And I know it's a lot going on with the WordPress format, but once you get comfortable knowing where to go and what to do, it'll be easy as pie updating, and it'll be a great place to communicate with your families.